Today on Lake Commandos, the crew heads to the Lone Star State of Texas, where we get an up-close look at one of the most progressive fishery programs in the country. And Steve Pennaz sees the results firsthand in a head-to-head largemouth bass battle with one of the guys on the front line of Texas fisheries, biologist Tony Owens.
I don't like getting beat.
I love fishing new water. The challenge is always the same. Find fish, trigger strikes.
Ooh, that's a big fish.
But what I really love is beating the other guy.
I got a fish.
This is Lake Commandos.
There are very few places that take their largemouth bass more seriously than Texas. And the men and women charged with keeping Texas on the forefront of trophy bass fishing, like biologist Tony Owens, take their job very seriously.
How many bass do you stock a year out of this facility?
Last year we stocked over 5 million Florida largemouth bass in Texas waters.
Wow.
Texas has become a hotbed for trophy fish, with low to mid-teen largemouth becoming almost commonplace across the state. But it isn't happening by accident. Texas is breeding big fish through a unique program called Share-a-Lunker, where anglers who catch a fish over 13 pounds are asked to give that fish to the Texas Park and Wildlife Departments to be used as brood stock.
The Share-a-Lunker program has been going on since '86. You know, back in the mid-'80s, it was basically a fort. You know, Lake Fort was a predominant lake that had the 13-pound bass. But as our Florida stocking program has increased to other lakes throughout the state, you see 13-pound bass at, you know, I mean, you can see a 13-pound bass in any lake just about.
Today's mission won't be easy. The Commandos will try to find and catch trophy largemouth bass during the pre-spawn period under fast-changing conditions. Like most fishable lakes in Texas, today's battleground is actually a man-made reservoir with all the unique characteristics typical to reservoirs. Here are the details. At just under 1,800 acres, it's considered quite small by reservoir standards. Built in 1962, it has a maximum depth of 50 feet, and water levels remain fairly constant with only occasional 2-foot fluctuations. There's plenty of habitat and cover, including the points, creek arms, and riprap common to most reservoirs. But unlike many reservoirs, it has an abundance of submergent vegetation, including coontail, pondweed, and alligator weed. The weather will be a key factor today, as it always is during the pre-spawn period. Water temps range widely and are changing quickly, and the Commandos will have to deal with 15 to 20 mile-per-hour winds out of the north. Those are the conditions the Lake Commandos are facing, and we're about to find out their plan of attack. But we want to know how you would fish it, so let us know online.
You know, we just arrived at the shore of the lake this morning, and I have to be honest, I'm kind of lost. I have no feel for what's going on. Are the fish deep? Are they going to be shallow? And it's clear we're going to need to cover a lot of water. I'm going to throw a jerkbait today. This is a Sabile Star Shiner. Red is always a great color in Texas. Gold is a great color in Texas, so I combined the two. I'm throwing it on 15-pound, 100% fluorocarbon. It's a great line for fishing jerkbaits. It kind of helps the bait hover on the paws. I'm throwing it on a 7-foot medium action Veritas rod with a Revo MGX reel. It's a 7.1-to-1 retrieve ratio. Really, my hope is that this hard bait is going to allow us to cover enough water to get on fish today. And when we get on a fish, Tony's going down.
Well, the bait I'm choosing today is a rattling bait. This is a Sabile vibe machine. The reason I'm choosing this bait, it's a great bait for a pre-spawn time of year of what we're at right now. The forage base in this lake is predominantly threadfin shad. This ought to be the bait of choice today. I think we're going to come out on top. We're going to show Steve how it's done.
You know, Tony, water temp, is that right, 61?
That's what it says, 60. If it is, it has come up.
These fish are gonna be moving up.
It has come up.
All right, game on, dude.
Let's see what we do here.
Early spring pre-spawn bass fishing is really a quest for the warmest water in the system. Warming water triggers fish activity, so Tony and I start our search on the shallower northern end of the reservoir. I'm gonna go a little bit brighter color, just to go something different. He's got more of a natural color on. And with two different baits in the water, we can figure out a little bit faster what's going on.
It looks like tracking down the first biter is going to be tough, but that's not unusual when dealing with pre-spawn fish and rapidly changing water temps. And sometimes even the best anglers never find them. Lake Commandos is brought to you by Abu Garcia for life, Trilene, Anglers Trust Berkeley Trilene, Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time, Nanofill, the next generation in fishing line, Fish Hound, real-time fishing reports, and by Garmin, bite your fish, not your fish finder. On an 1,800-acre reservoir in eastern Texas, Lake Commandos' Steve Pennaz and Tony Owens are on the hunt for pre-spawn largemouth bass. Few know more about the habits and habitat of these bass than Tony. As a biologist with Texas Parks and Wildlife, Tony works out of the Texas Freshwater Fisheries Center near Athens, Texas. The center provides a unique entertaining and educational experience for visitors combined with a production fish hatchery. Tony spends his time raising pure Florida strain largemouth bass for stocking throughout the state. When he's not raising bass, he's fishing for them and is a veteran of a number of Texas tournament bass circuits. All of that means he has no fear of taking on Steve today.
I've known Steve for probably 8 years now. We've done a couple of shows together, and Steve's a great fisherman, but I'm a better one. And I think today, that's going to be proven.
Fish, fish. They're in here, Tony.
Yep.
The first bite we got came not out in 4, 5, 6 feet of water like I expected. We were throwing these Sebile Vibes up against the bank in 2 to 3 feet of water. He came right off that green stuff right there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice one.
Look at that one.
Yeah, buddy.
First fish of the day. We're seeing a lot of activity back here with shad and seeing some fish. So it's third bite in the last 100 yards. So we might be onto something here. It's always hard to get that first bite, but every time you get a bite, you can start building on the information. There's one. There's one.
You have to change colors.
Whoa, geez, these are strong fish. Oh, look at that one. Through the hook. Got him underneath, that's the fourth bite.
Yeah. He's throwing a chartreuse rattle bait. And of course, he only has the one chartreuse bait. I think he's probably got more. He probably just ain't gonna let me have them. So I'm changing up a little bit. I don't know if it's sort of a little bluegill color with an orange belly. There's one.
Ooh, look at this.
No, he's not very
You need
big.
a net?
He just hit me right here at the boat.
There you go, nice bass. Front hook again, they like that color. Nice job. Well, you didn't take you long to catch up. Tony's had 3 bites in literally 10 minutes, where we fished an hour before, so I think we got something going. The problem is he's got the front of the boat and he's on fire. It's gonna be tough keeping up, I think. Good clean fuel is the key to keeping your outboard running properly, and regular fuel system maintenance will keep your motor running smoothly for years to come. One of the best things you can do to combat the negative effects of today's ethanol fuel is to install an inline fuel filter if your boat doesn't already have one. Yamaha's 10-micron fuel water separating filters separate water from fuel as well as stopping debris from damaging your engine. Yamaha offers filters in different sizes to fit the engine you run. Also inspect your fuel lines to check for leaks or cracks and pay particular attention to connections like this area here and here. And if the primer ball is too stiff to work properly, replace it. When it comes to achieving peak performance, maintenance matters.
This segment is brought to you by Yeti Coolers. Yeti, wildly stronger, keep ice longer. The East Texas Commando battle between Steve Pennaz and Tony Owens is heating up, and so is the bite, and for more than largemouth bass.
Crappie. Look at the size of that crappie.
Look at that. Well, tell you what.
Look at this.
Yeah, that's where they're at. We're in the crappie hole.
Wow, let's forget the bass fishing. Let's bring a bunch of these home. Holy cow, these are beautiful. I don't know about you, but when I'm fishing rattle baits, I'm thinking mid-range water, not land of the spinner bait or land of the soft plastic jerk bait. These fish are uptight, but they were eaten. Oh, he ate right by shore too. Look at that, I got both hooks in him. Thin fish, long one, but I love it when they bite a bait like that. That means they like the color, they like the presentation. A lot of times if you just get them in a back hook, they're kind of nipping at it. This guy wanted to eat that vibe. When we wrapped up the first 2 hours throwing Tony's Sebile vibe machine, I had a 2-fish lead. It was chomping at the bit to tie on a jerkbait. So we headed south to one of my favorite pre-spawn jerkbait locations, Rip Rap. Fish?
You sure do?
Yeah, I got one. Boy, that didn't take long, 5 minutes on the jerkbait.
Yeah.
Got him on a front hook too, I like that. Good quality fish too. Now he came out, oh boy, he's just cold. You know, in this colder water, this jerkbait could be a good way to do it, but I got him with all 3 hooks. You know, when we got here, the water temp was, it's 6-7 degrees cooler than the north end of the lake. And this dam area, it's got some grass. There's not as much rock here, but I can't argue with success. We got bit right away, so we're gonna work this whole face down about maybe 4 or 5 feet of water out and see what happens. You know, it's been my experience on dams like this, you know, they built this to build the lake. Usually it drops right down into nothing, and Tony's saying it drops into about 50 feet. We're in 3 feet of water here. If I move out a few feet, we're in 8 feet. And that's a perfect depth range for fishing jerk baits. There's one. Fish? There you go. Nice fish. Ooh, big fish. Look at that one, Tony. You need a net?
I think I can get it.
Giant. Oh, here. Let me get the net for you.
He ate that thing too.
Oh, did he eat that bait? Look at that. How far from shore did that come?
He hit right up there around those rocks.
Boy, that bass Tony caught off the dam. Look at the belly on that fish. These things are all pre-spawned. Can you imagine what a 10-pounder would look like? You know, this is that time, Tony, I think the back of the boat's gonna be an advantage. You could fish that zone a little easier than me. That 3 to 4 foot zone.
You're having to keep the boat out. You're having to, you know, maneuver the boat constantly. Think about where you're casting, where the guy in the back's you just sort of sit back and fish and relax.
This pre-spawn commando battle started slow, picked up with the vibe machine in shallow water. Now the jerkbait has produced the day's first truly big fish. But the wind is picking up, and it may put a quick stop to the jerkbait pattern. Lake Commandos is brought to you by Yeti Coolers, wildly stronger, keep ice longer. Gulp Alive, looks, feels, tastes alive. Yamaha Marine, reliability starts here. Not too kinky, no kinks ever. Fraybill, trusted gear since 1938. And by Plano, protect your passion.
You know, one of the challenges when you have a warm front is the conditions in the lake are changing dramatically. You know, it was 64 degrees this morning, it went up to 73. That water temperature just skyrocketed. In a lot of cases, that's not a great thing, especially for bigger fish. Despite a couple quick fish, the wind and cold water finally drove us off the dam and back north to calmer, warmer water, where we put away the jerk baits, picked up the vibe machines, and had results almost immediately. There's one. Well, that didn't take long. Little guy. Boy, I tell you what, when they hit these things, Tony, they just crush them. One of the things I liked about the vibe pattern today is that we were catching multiple species on it. When patterns start producing like that, usually that means it's a good sign that that's a great pattern for the day. This move to the north produced another one, huh?
Yep.
After the move to warm water produced a couple quick fish, I found myself up by 5, and I could tell it was starting to get to Tony.
You know, I don't like getting beat. You know, on anything. I don't care if it's jacks or whatever. I don't like getting beat.
I've been in Tony's place where someone gets hot and you're sitting there trying to figure out how to get bit, What was interesting about Tony today is it lit a fire, a competitive fire. He started fishing more focused and he started fishing harder and he started charging on late in the day. I was kind of concerned that the lead wasn't going to hold up.
Oh, there he is. There he is right there.
You got one?
Yep.
Ooh,
Oh,
nice
yeah,
fish,
he's nice.
Tony.
He's pretty good sizing. He's one of the better ones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man, that's a nice one there. That's a nice female. Pre-spawner. Caught her right up there by that boathouse.
Look at the belly on that thing. Holy cow. They're ready to pop here in the next couple days, huh?
They're ready to go.
Let them go.
Pretty little fish.
What I truly love about going commando is the fact that I learn something every time I do. Today, I got a real eye-opener on the versatility of lipless crankbaits like the Sebile Vibe machine. I would have never expected a rattle bait would work so well in shallow water, but we caught nearly all our fish by burning the Vibe machines in less than 3 feet. And the Vibe machine takes the honor as today's top performing bait. Color was key, with chartreuse clearly outperforming anything else. However, the biggest fish of the day came on the Sebile Starshiner jerkbait.
He's not that big.
Not a bad fish. Well, you know what? That's the last fish of the day, but I got bad news for you. It's not enough.
Well,
you know, for a day that started tough, we actually put together a pretty good pattern today.
yeah, went well. I mean, the rattling bait caught fish, jerk bait caught bigger fish, or the biggest fish. So
Yeah.
it was a good day.
We just ended the day with a few more in my camp than with your camp, but you know, you can brag about the biggest fish.
Yes, I definitely had bigger fish today.
Tell you what, let's go get a steak and have a good night. How's
That's
that?
good. That sounds good.
Here's your chance to go commando and win what works. Log on to our Facebook page and enter our free Win What Works sweepstakes. Every week, we'll pick one lucky winner and send them the same baits we used in that week's Lake Commandos mission. So enter today and go commando.
Steve cheats. That probably doesn't come out much on the deal. They'll probably edit this out, but you know, there was a couple of my hooks didn't have points on them and stuff like that, but you know, I understand.
He picked the lure himself, just so you know.
I'm Captain George Mitchell. This is Coastal Chaos. Most folks don't realize that pelagics like dolphin, wahoo, and tunas do a lot of their feeding right up on the surface. This is where poppers really shine. You can cast them a mile, you can make a lot of commotion, and you can instantly see the fish's response. Make sure you match your equipment to your target species. Here's my tuna setup. It's a Penn International Torque 9 loaded with 80-pound spider wire, short trace of 60-pound fluorocarbon, straight to my popper. Now, we're not always casting to visible fish. Lots of times we'll see birds working or maybe a bird hovering. Fire that popper out there, pop, pop. You'll know if anybody's home instantly. When you're prospecting an area, cast a lure out, let it sit for a couple seconds, couple of pops, and then rip it back in. Right here, he's gonna go nuts right here. Back your drag off, keep your clicker on. Now, when you get a bite on a popper, it's important not to horse them in, finesse them in. Lots of times there's more than one. Pelagics travel in numbers. Hey, you want to put some fish in the box? There's nothing better than a great popper. Coastal Chaos, tips for serious saltwater anglers.